Welcome to tonight's live stream. I'm going to get started in a moment. Let me let everyone know on social media that the live stream is getting started. Thank you, BK Standard, for the super chat. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Curtis Reed. Thank you, Veg 49. I don't have any relatives from Antigua, and thank you, Trey Titan, BK Standard. I have seen the video from Mazda News, and she did an excellent job breaking down your Black Lives Matter and how it is against the black man. And that's what I'm talking about tonight. In tonight's topic, I'm going to be talking about how this nonprofit, Black Lives Matter, does not support black men. And black men, we really need to take a stand against your Black Lives Matter because they really are not about protecting and preserving the lives of black men. Now, your Black Lives Matter is this organization that always comes out to march and protest in the aftermath of the death of a black man as related to the murder of a black man as related to either a white cop or one of these beta male white racists or one of these non-black racists out here. They are always ready to go out here and march and protest in the aftermath of the murder of a black man. But the great irony about your Black Lives Matter is that they do not value the life of a black man, and the lives of black men don't matter to them unless they can capitalize on making money for themselves and pushing their twisted agendas that go against the black man and go against the nuclear black family that God created as part of his natural order. Because your Black Lives Matter originally was founded by 3 lesbians, and their agenda is not one that is about trying to rebuild our black men, protect our black men, or teach our black men things that will keep them alive, or teach them the male survival skills that will allow them to survive in a white supremacist world. Now, this organization, again, calls itself Black Lives Matter, but when you start to read their website, read their mission statements, you start to see that they really are not concerned about the lives of our black men. And that was clear to me from what I read in their website, and it is also clear to me. Thank you, Knesant Kapur, for the super chat. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Veg48, for the super chat, and Black BK Standard. But they aren't about black men, and they aren't about black men's issues. What these parasites and vultures want to do is they want to swoop down on the dead bodies of black men, and what they want to do is use these black men's deaths in order to go out here and push and promote a misandristic agenda that is, I can't change the title, BK Standard. Once I put it in, and I can't change it until the stream is over. So what's there is there, and I have to, the only way I can change it is if I go back, and I won't want to end the stream when I'm starting. But we have to understand what Black Lives Matter really is. And again, when you start to see them and their actions, it shows us that they're not about black men, they're not about building up black men, and they're not about supporting and helping black people see the value of a black man's life. Instead, what that's really important to them is a dead black man, because a dead black man allows them to become enriched at the expense of our brothers. And when I look at their mission statement, because I'm going to go and deconstruct all of their completely insane talking points over this stream and show you the contradictions in many of their statements. Now, on their page, they say 4 years ago, what is now known as Black Lives Matter Global Network began to organize. It started out as a chapter-based, member-led organization whose mission was to build local power and to intervene when violence was inflicted by black communities by the state and vigilantes. In years since, we've committed to struggling together to imagining and creating a world free of anti-blackness, where every black person has the social, economic, and political power to thrive. That's their original initial statement, but when you read further, you're going to see how there are a lot of contradictions. And again, they say Black Lives Matter is a call to action to state-sanctioned violence and anti-black racism. Our intention from the very beginning was to connect black people all over the world with a shared desire to get justice in communities. And the impetus for that commitment was and still is the rampant and deliberate violence inflicted on us by the state. Enraged by the death of Trayvon Martin and the subsequent acquittal of his killer, George Zimmerman, and inspired by the 31-day state takeover of the Florida state capitol by Power U and the Dream Defenders, we took to the streets. A year later, we set out together, Black Lives Matter Freedom Ride to Ferguson in search of justice for Michael Brown and all of those who've been torn apart by state-sanctioned violence and anti-black racism. Forever changed, we returned home and began building the infrastructure for the Black Lives Matter Global Network, even which in its infancy became a political home for many. Ferguson helped to catalyze a movement which we all gave life. Organizers called this network a home of ousted anti-black politicians, won critical legislation to benefit black lives. And these are all a lot of lies, but they develop the blackness around the world. The Black Lives Global Network is powerful as it is because of our membership, our partners, our supporters, our staff, and you. We vigorously, I'm going to skip some things here. We vigorously work for freedom and justice for black people and by extension, all people. We intentionally build and nurture a beloved community that's bonded together by a beautiful struggle that is restorative and not depleting. We are unapologetically black in our positioning, and this is the first contradiction I really want you guys to really think about. They say one thing in the beginning about they want freedom and justice for black people and by extension, all people, and then they say they're unapologetically black. Do you see the contradiction in that statement? How can you say you want justice for all people and they say you're unapologetically black? I mean, clearly, these Black Lives Matter people really do not understand the concept of global white supremacy, because all people don't want justice for black people. So they really, when you listen to that statement, there's a contradiction right there in their own platform, right there on their own website. And you can read that contradiction right there in that statement that they make. So that first statement right there, you can see the contradiction because they're saying, oh, it's for all people, but then they are talking about how they are unapologetically black. That shows me that they really don't have a good foundation on their mission. And as I'm going to further read, they say, in affirming that Black Lives Matter, we do not need to qualify our position. To love and desire and freedom and justice for ourselves is a prerequisite as wanting it the same for others. Well, what your Black Lives Matter doesn't understand is that the other people don't want you to have freedom and justice, and that's why they work so vigorously to deny you so-called freedom and justice. So your Black Lives Matter, they really, when you start reading their statements, you start to see the contradictions in their statements and how dysfunctional their platform is, because they say that they're black first, but they don't understand that the rest of the world is for white supremacy, and they're not for you. So you sitting there and talking about how you want this for other people and they don't want it for you. And they also go on to talk about how they see themselves as part of the global black family. And we are aware of the different ways we are impacted and privileged as black people who exist in different parts of the world. And I'm going to deconstruct this statement right here because this is one of the most retarded statements I have ever read. And as someone who knows how fragmented the black community is, I can tell you that the global black family does not want anything to do with the American black family. So all of these people who are from these islands or from Africa, they oftentimes see themselves as better than a black American. And they don't see themselves as part of a global black family. They see themselves as separated from the global black family, and they will work with white supremacy against the black American. So they don't care about the black American. And this other part of the statement, which makes no logical sense, is saying that they are aware of the different ways we are impacted or privileged. There is no privilege for black people in many parts of the world, and there's no privilege for black people here in America. Where are these privileges that black people have? Because black people are a second-class citizen in this country, and many, especially on the left, want to keep the black people in a permanent underclass. So your Black Lives Matter, again, on their website, they're presenting talking points that make no logical sense. And when you deconstruct many of these talking points, like I'm doing right now, you can just see how completely illogical many of them are. Now, they say that we are guided by the fact that all Black lives matter, regardless of actual perceived sexual identity, gender expression, economic status, disability, religious beliefs, immigration status, or location. Now, I find it interesting that they put this statement up here talking about these identity politics as related to the alphabet, and they sit there and talk about sexual identity and gender identity, and they don't put anything there talking about the black man. And the person who is most victimized in this society, and the supposed to be the original reason and motivation for starting this nonprofit, was the black man. But we don't see anything focused on an agenda for helping the black man receive justice in this country. We don't see anything as related to providing the black man with any sort of resources to protect him. And when I look at this statement right here, it's more about everybody else except the one person who is the one who is primarily targeted by these racists out here, like these race soldier police officers and these beta male suburban terrorists like George Zimmerman, the one who is racially profiled, the one is brutalized by police, and the one targeted by violence from both your racist and your racist police officers is the black man. And the black man is the one who is seen as a primary threat by just about everyone. But we're talking about all of these other groups who don't get as targeted as much. Moreover, who are the ones who wind up getting murdered and getting used by this organization as a way to push its agenda, but no one wants to get this black man any sort of justice whatsoever in this organization. It's about everybody else but this black man. And this is one of the greatest contradictory statements. They say that all Black lives matter, but clearly from their actions, they show us that the lives of black men don't matter to Black Lives Matter. Because when it comes down to this organization, they say all Black lives matter, but they oftentimes exploit the murders of black men in order to elevate their status and push their agenda. Because they go on to talk about we need to make space for transgender brothers to participate and lead, but transgenders aren't the ones, again, primarily being targeted by the police. They aren't the ones being racially profiled. The people who are primarily racially profiled by these store owners, by these police, and beaten and brutalized by these police and these race soldiers and these beta male suburban terrorists are primarily heterosexual black men. It is heterosexual black men who are the ones who are victimized by this violence in the majority, but they want to talk about having your alphabet people going out here and leading the cause. And that makes no logical sense because the person who should be leading as related to these struggles that black men go through in this country as related to racial violence, police misconduct, and the one who can clearly discuss all of these issues in depth is the heterosexual black man. And Black Lives Matter shows how little value they have for the heterosexual black man by putting everybody in front of the heterosexual black man. Meanwhile, they're going to go out here and use the deaths of these heterosexual black men in order to push their alphabet agenda and, as I'm going to go on, their agenda for single motherhood. Now, they go on to say, we are self-reflexive and do the work to dismantle cisgender privilege and uplift black trans folk, especially black trans women, who continue to be disproportionately. What does this have to do with what goes on with heterosexual black men? Heterosexual black men, again, are the ones primarily targeted by these store owners in racial profiling, like George Floyd. They are disproportionately targeted, like Trayvon Martin was by George Zimmerman. They are disproportionately targeted, like Eric Garner. And they are disproportionately targeted, like your Ahmaud Arbery. So you're talking about dismantling so-called cisgender privilege and uplifting black trans folk, but the person who needs the most help is the heterosexual black man. And the heterosexual black man is the one that is disproportionately targeted for violence in this country. But this organization is going to talk about Black Lives Matter, but it's clear they don't value the life of heterosexual black men in this country, and they don't have an agenda meant to try to get help for your heterosexual black men. Now, this other statement that's coming up is really troubling because they talk about we build a space that affirms black women and is free from sexism, misogyny, and environments which are men-centered. Now, again, the black man is the one primarily targeted for racial profiling and violence in this country, and they're talking about building a space that is not men-centered. Again, if this is supposed to be about Black Lives Mattering, then the most important person we want to put things around is the man, because in order for you to have a foundation for anything constructive in showing the value of Black life. Everything needs to be centered around the Black man. Now, the Black man is the most important person in God's natural order because the Black man was the first man that God created. And the Black man is the one who will build a space because he is the one that God created as a steward over the earth. And he is the one who will go out here and lead in as related to God's natural order. So if you're going to talk about building a space, the person who God created to build spaces is the Black man. And if you want to do anything constructive, you need to focus on building and developing the Black man, because it is the Black man who has the seed that creates Black children. And it is the Black man who is the one who provides leadership and authority to the Black woman. And that leadership allows her to go out here and have an environment that will be free of what these Black Lives Matter people call sexism and misogyny, because a man who is loving of a woman, he is not going to hate his woman. He is going to create an environment that is healthy and functional under God's natural order, and one that will not have any sexism, because under God's natural order, men and women are different, but they have equally valuable roles to the living God. So what these people want to do is they want to go out here and build a feminist platform for Black women. And let me tell you how that failed before in the past, because what your Black Lives Matter, what they want to do is recreate the welfare state of the 1960s to the mid 1990s. And they want to create an environment that is similar to that welfare state. Because when you look at this statement where they talk about building this environment that in which men aren't centered, it really shows, again, how they're out of touch, because they don't really want men in their environment. They really don't want men there, and they really make no sense at all. Now, they also go on to say we want to make spaces that are family friendly and enable parents to fully participate with their children. We dismantle the patriarchal practice that requires mothers to work double shifts. Well, where is anything here about the father? Again, this whole statement in Black Lives Matter, they're not talking about anything as related to fathers, because the reason why women are working double shifts is because Black women wanted to join the white feminist movement. They wanted to be like this white woman. They wanted to go out here and work these jobs. And they are working double shifts because they follow these white feminists and these leftists and joined the welfare state and joined the job market, again, without any sort of Black male leadership. And they're talking about dismantling the patriarchal practice. Well, guess what? That patriarchal practice was established by your leftists because they didn't want a father in the home. And because they did not want a father in the home, this is why your Black woman is working double shifts, because she wanted to be strong and independent, and she said she did not need a man. And because she said that she did not need a man, this is why she is the one working the double shifts, because she doesn't want the man in the home. She doesn't want to follow the lead of the man. She does not want to submit to the authority of the man, and she doesn't want to follow the man. What's going on, D. Woodward 78? Glad to see you here. I'm going to continue to go on. And they also go on to talk about we disrupt the Western prescribed nuclear family structure by supporting each other as extended families and villages that collectively care for one another, and to the degree mothers, parents, and the children are comfortable. Again, this is a statement that clearly comes from someone who comes from a 2 to 3 generations of single mother households, and they really do not understand the whole concept of a village, because a village, again, starts with the Black man, and the family, in order to have people collectively caring, you need that man to do things, because in order to build the village, you need a man as the leader. And the reason why you need that man is because he is going to be that head of household, and he is the one who is going to provide the structure for his family and the leadership for his family. Moreover, in order to have a village that is safe, you need black fathers in the home, because without their protection, there is no way for things to be safe to collectively care for those children. And in order to even build a village, you need black men to build that village. Now, this is something your Black Lives Matter, again, they're coming from these single mother feminist perspectives, and these single mother perspectives are really, they're really destroying a lot of people out here. They just don't understand how dysfunctional these things are, and their ideas make no logical sense when you start deconstructing them, because the so-called Western prescribed nuclear family structure that they talk about, this was created by God. And if you go out of God's natural order, you get the chaos that we have right now in the aftermath of the welfare state, which was where we have these children of the corn running around terrorizing communities and practically going berserk because they don't have a mother to teach them, and they don't have a father there to provide them structure. So they sit there and talk about disrupting the Western prescribed nuclear family, not understanding how they're going outside of God's natural order, because the only way for you to have a safe environment where you can have a village raising a child is if that black man is out here, one, building the village, and two, protecting the village. So the black man is extremely important to any sort of platform. And they also want to talk about these alphabet people again. And that, again, is not something that is anything I want to even discuss. And then they talk about intergenerational communal networks and free of ageism. And they don't understand the whole concept of elder and older, because an elder has wisdom and an older is just an idiot, like many of the baby boomer generation. And then they also talk about embodying practice, justice, liberation, and in our peace, in our engagement. It just makes no logical sense. When you read their mission statement, again, you don't see one principal platform piece as related to their argument. And the first piece of your argument, you're saying Black Lives Matter, and you're starting to talk about single mothers, you're starting to talk about alphabet people. But again, the one person who is the one most victimized in this society is the heterosexual black man. And there is no discussion about this heterosexual black man. And again, that's really contradictory and diametrically opposed to what this organization is supposed to stand for, because this organization, again, was started with the murder of your Trayvon Martin. And this organization was supposed to be about showing the value of black men's lives, because it is the black men who are primarily the ones being murdered by these police and murdered by these racists out here. But this organization, it only wants to focus on gynocentric issues and the issues of the alphabet agenda. Again, I have a critical question for Black Lives Matter. Where are the platforms discussing black men's issues? Because again, you say Black Lives Matter, but when we look at your mission statement, we look at what you believe, you don't see a value to a black man's life, because we don't see you talking about anything as related to helping show people the value of a life of a black man, because you sit there and talk about all these other things, but not the real issues that affect black men. And this is why I say the black man has to get out here and speak on his own issues. because when others like Black Lives Matter run up in front of us and start speaking on our issues, what happens is they start pushing their agenda in front of our agenda. And that is as I've said before in numerous videos, a mark on us as Black men. It is a statement which shows how weak Black men are as a collective, because when you have your Black woman leading the charge as related to showing the value of your life, it doesn't show how you value your own life, because the only way to show the value of a Black man's life is for the Black man to get up and stand up for himself, because the Black man has to get out here and let everybody know that this organization, Black Lives Matter, does not speak for the Black man. It does not speak for the Black man's issues, and it does not stand to show any value of a life of a Black man, because the only time this organization comes out is when a Black man is murdered by a police officer or one of these racists out here. And again, they only look to exploit the death of that Black man in order to further their agenda. So they're not interested in doing things to help show the value of a Black man's life to the world, like going out here and focusing on an agenda to build up Black men, an agenda to go out here and show you the value of a Black man's life by showing Black men going out here and valuing the life of another Black man, or showing that Black men are going to go out here and stand up and show how much their lives matter by going out here and taking a stand on their platform. So they're sitting there and they're talking about Black Lives Matter, and you've got women leading the charge. And again, that is a mark on Black men, because it shows how weak Black men are a collective, because when your woman is speaking for you, it shows that you are somebody that the world does not need to respect. A man who wants to go out here and earn respect, he's going to stand up for himself. He's going to speak for himself, and he's going to make his whole platform and make his statements about what he wants. And that's one of the most troubling things about this Black Lives Matter, is they want to sit there and talk for us, but they're not talking about our issues. And as a Black man, I'm going to take a minute to talk about some of our issues. And our issues are, because our issues aren't being put, on the table. And the first of our issues that I believe most Black men want, as related to police reform, is we want to see these rogue officers, these brutal officers. We want to see these officers punished when they go out here and murder a Black man like George Floyd. And we want to see these officers receive jail time, not just termination. We want to see them receive jail time, because with a rogue officer, they have tarnished their badge and they have taken the life of a Black man. So we need to see punishment to let them know that there is a line in the sand as related to how you will treat Black men in this country, and how Black men's lives will have value, because this will show that a Black man's life has value when one of these rogue officers is punished for murdering a Black man. So if they have to do prison time for murdering Black men, this shows the value of a Black man's life. Now, in addition to that, I want to see punishment for racial profiling, because a lot of store owners like these Cup Foods, they have been participating in this racial profiling for years. And they go out of their way to follow Black men. They go out of their way to go looking at Black men when we come in the store. And they go out here and foster a hostile environment towards Black men out here. And they foster that environment, and they lead to escalations that lead to Black men either losing their life or winding up in prison for a crime that never happened, or something that just they imagined in their head. So I want to see some punishment from these foreign store owners and these white store owners when they racially profile a black man. And I want there to be actions as related to dealing with that. Now, in addition to punishment, I also want to see efforts to try to heal the man crisis that has gone on in the black community for over 50 years as related to the feminine black women joining the feminist movement and becoming a part of the welfare state, and then further segueing into corporate America and single motherhood. Because if we really want to help black people, we really need to start working on rebuilding the black man, rebuilding the black family, and teaching people the value of black fathers in the community. Because we often hear about, oh, Black Lives Matter. And again, we are not teaching about the value of a black man's life and what it contributes to his community. Because your Black Lives Matter, they talk about things from a single mother perspective, and they really don't understand the value of a black man to a community because they never grew up with men in their community. They never grew up with a father. They never had relationships with fathers or even older brothers. So they don't understand the value of a black man's life, and they don't understand what a black man offers to his community and why a black man is important. Now, I grew up with a father, I grew up with an older brother, and I understand the value of a black man to a community. And what makes a black man important to a community is primarily his ability to take the lead in his community. And that's evidently shown to us with the way these females have led this protest for George Floyd. These females, as they have led this protest for George Floyd, they haven't really set an agenda for getting justice for George Floyd or a series of agenda and goals to ensure that the murder of George Floyd or any other black man, well, really any other black man ever happens again, or somebody is not murdered like George Floyd ever again. And that's because many of the people in this country, they know that when it comes down to the black woman, she can be easily pacified. And your black woman, she will go out here and she will listen to this symbolism, and she will listen to these empty gestures. And because she's emotional, she will sit there and believe that progress is being made. But progress is not being made from taking Aunt Jemima off the pancake box and the maple syrup, or these companies talking about this, how they're evaluating taking Uncle Ben off the box. This stuff means nothing, nor does it mean anything for these companies to talk about how they're going to donate all of this money, talking about how they're going to try to donate money to fight racism or fight injustice. This means nothing. And I'm going to go further in depth on why it means nothing, but I really want to show the value of a black man's life as related to his community, because a black man contributes in many ways to his community, whether it be a father, whether it be a brother. When you have a black man in your home, a black man, when he is trained by a father, understands his role as leader, authority figure, protector, provider. And when you have black men in your community, they go out here and they provide extremely valuable services to the community, whether it be a father preparing his son for manhood, whether it be working brothers showing that model of manhood to other young men, whether it be black men showing a work ethic and going and showing their sons a work ethic by getting up and going out to work every day, or showing them male life skills. When you have black men in the community, they have a tremendous value to that community because they are builders and they provide the structure and the order that allows that community to function. So when you have a black man in your community, his life matters because He provides that structure. He provides that order. And when you have a collective of black men working together, they establish the standards that allow everyone to have a quality of life. And this is something many in the Black Lives Matter community have not experienced, because a lot of the people, when I read the statements from the Black Lives Matter organization, they clearly have not had a father in the home. They have not really experienced an actual picture of black manhood or black masculinity. They really don't understand what it is to be under the order of a God-centered black male environment. And they don't really understand what the value of a black man's life is, because they have grown up in this feminist culture and the welfare state, and they see everything through the rose-colored lenses of the welfare state and the feminists, who have them thinking that they can go out here and build a village without the black man. And you can't build any sort of village without the black man, because the black man is the one who goes out here and does the building. What they have been living in is this welfare state created by leftists and Section 8 and welfare. And what they want to do is recreate that toxic environment once again for black people to live in, thinking that it's a village, but it is not a village. What they want to do is take black people back to the ghetto and have them stranded in poverty. And they really, again, are not about doing anything constructive as related to showing, again, the value of a black man. And they're not really about an agenda to promote and support black fathers. And black fathers are something we desperately need in the black community to focus more on, because we always want to focus on the mainstream media's stereotype that the black community has no fathers, but there are plenty of fathers out there. And again, when you have fathers in a community, you have people who understand the value of a black man's life. But many of the black people in Black Lives Matter, they are pushing the leftist agenda as related to black men, and they're pushing a platform that teaches us, oh, black men are no good, and basically the only good black man is a dead black man, and the only people we need to come out here and stand up to protest for is a dead black man. And that's, again, a slap in the face to black men, because it shows that, again, a black man's life does not matter, because the black man, his only value is in death. So if a black man is dead, they see value in his life. But if a black man is alive, they don't see a value in his life. And that's one of the, again, the most troubling things about Black Lives Matter, is it shows they don't value a black man's life. They talk about Black Lives Matter, but what are you doing for the brothers who are living out here? What are you doing to lay down and foster an agenda to preserve and improve the quality of life of black men? What are you doing to show people the value of a black father? What are you doing to show that black fathers are important? What are you doing to show how important the work of a black father is? Because when I look at a black father, his life matters, because he is the difference between a young black boy growing up to go to college or a young black boy going to prison, because it is his model for manhood that is the thing that means the difference between a black man going on to have success in life or winding up in the grave like your Trayvon Martin, your George Floyd, and Eric Garner, and many others who came from single mother households. Because it seems like, again, Black Lives Matter likes to come out for the guys who come out of single mother households, but they don't want to show the value of black life by promoting black fatherhood and promoting black male leadership. Black male leadership is something I want to see as part of a black man's agenda. and promoting the value of a black father in the home. Because we, for too long, we have bought into these false stereotypes that have demonized the black man, made him into a bad guy, and made him somebody who, when you look at the Rolling Stone magazine cover, that image that was just so troubling to me, I had to make an entire video on it. That image, it just showed the what Black Lives Matter really is all about. And I'm going to leave a link to that video that I did about that image on Rolling Stone magazine, because that image, when you think about it, again, it's another condemning statement on how they view black men and how they don't see black men's leadership as something important, and how they don't see a black man as somebody who can even lead his own cause. And this is why black men, we have to go out here and lead our own cause. So I'm gonna leave a link to that video, because when you look at that image on the cover of Rolling Stone magazine, that image, it should upset you if you're a black man, because they have the woman leading the charge as related to the protest for George Floyd. And the message in that image is that the only value a black man has as related to his life is in death. So they're saying the only good black man, again, is a dead black man, and they view other black men as children who cannot even lead themselves. And the most troubling thing is that that image was created by a black man, and it showed me that this black man really didn't understand his value as a man. I mean, this man, as I see it, he needs to go and get himself a copy of The Man Crisis, which I'm going to leave a link in the chat for everybody to get, because this dude, creating a picture like that. That image, that showed me a man in crisis. And that is the type of image a beta male makes, because that beta male's perception of the world is primarily given to him by this black woman who tells him that she is the leader, she is the authority figure. And that just shows how arrogant she is, to think that she can lead on a black man's issues and speak for a black man. But again, that is a statement on us as a collective, because we don't have the backbone or the stones to get in this woman's face and let her know, you're not going to speak for me. I'm going to speak for me. I'm going to speak on my issues, and I'm going to get in the face of these people and let them know what I want from this government. This woman can't, again, speak for you, because the racism she experiences is different from your racism. They are often looking to acquiesce to her because they know they can use her as a bludgeon to attack us, just like they did with the affirmative action program. They used white women and black women, and they used the black woman to emasculate the black man and say that he could not provide for his family. And we're going to use this black woman to show that she needs to provide for a family because her man can't do it, when in actuality, it was them denying black men job opportunities that prevented the black man from being able to care for his family. Moreover, there were policies created by these governments to keep black men from being able to take care of their families. So if a black man wanted to start a business, he ran into a lot of red tape. And if a black man wanted to buy a home, he was redlined out of communities that would allow him to get a better quality of life or build wealth. So they want to sit there and say that the black man can't really do anything. The black man can do once given an opportunity, but the black man is denied an opportunity by your white supremacists who play the black woman against the black man. And what they want to do is say that the black man is the problem and that he needs the black woman to speak for him. But when the black man speaks for himself, he talks about all of the racism he encounters. And he also talks about how these racists want to go out here and they want to deny the black man his right to go out here and do for self. And they don't want to talk about those issues because it shines a light on a lot of these politicians on both the left and the right, and it shows how truly racist they are. They sit there and they talk about, again, as the Black Lives Matter movement, these perspectives that were really coming from feminists and gynocentrists, but they're not talking about a black man's issues. Again, a black man, we want to do for ourselves, because I have, again, after I lost myself, I want to go back to work in a company, but companies won't hire me. So a lot of black men, those things aren't being talked about as related to how we are systematically discriminated against, how we're systematically denied opportunities. And they'll sit there and talk about all these other people and all these other groups. And again, not talking about the issues of black men. And again, I'm going over how they don't talk about the value of a black man's life and what he contributes to the community. They don't talk about the black man's role in his community and why it matters. They don't talk about the importance of a black father. And then they also don't talk about the importance of a black entrepreneur or a black business owner like myself, because when a black business owner's life matters, because a black business owner, when he is in the community, he provides opportunities for employment for black people. And he also goes out here and he provides opportunities for young brothers and sisters to learn skills and to get work experience. So when you have a black business base, a black business base shows the value and of the lives of black men, because those black men, they are taking time to invest in their communities. They're taking the time to invest in young brothers and sisters, and they are taking the time to teach and mentor male life skills to the young brothers and teach work experience to the women who work with them, so that they can go out here and learn these skills to either go out here and get another job or to go out here and start their own business. So when you have a black man in a community and he is a part of a collective of black-owned businesses, he is providing employment and teaching, again, life skills, work experience, work ethic. These are things Black Lives Matter doesn't understand, because Black Lives Matter is again, coming from that matriarchy and not coming from a black male patriarchy. They're sitting there talking about, oh, Black Lives Matter, but again, they're not talking about the importance of what a black man brings to his community. All they want to do is march and protest and make a lot of noise to get attention for themselves, and then get some donations in order to get paid at the expense of this black man's life. And that's the thing that really irritates me about Black Lives Matter, is how they use the deaths of these black men to enrich themselves at black people's expense. And that's the whole vulture aspect of them. They go out here and talk about Black Lives Matter, but again, they go out here only when a black man dies. So when they come out to stand up for that black man, they go out when the black man is dead. No, I say it's time to come out for those brothers when they are alive and help them get the skills that they need in order to stay alive. So they don't want to sit there and help that black man stay alive. They want to sit here and wait for this black man to die at the hands of this white race police officer or this white suburban terrorist. They come out to march and protest then, but no, we needed to go out here and stand up for those brothers when they were alive and give them the support they needed in order to go out here and help them build a stronger black community and a stronger black family. That's what I want to invest in, because I want to see an investment in black men, and I want to see an investment in the lives of black men, where they learn the value of their lives and learn how their lives matter and why their lives matter. Because when you are out here, most of these people, they show you that a black man's life only matters when he is killed by a white cop or one of these race soldiers or one of these non-black suburban terrorists like George Zimmerman. That's the only time your Black Lives Matter wants to march out here and protest for black men. How about standing up and supporting decent, hard-working brothers out here when they're alive, and standing up here and supporting the work of black men out here who are doing things to build in their community, black men who are fathers in their community, and going out here and showing the value of a black man's life as a man, as a business owner, as a husband, as a father. And you have your Black Lives Matter. They're talking about building villages. Well, you can't build a village without the foundation as related to God that he created called marriage. And this is another thing your Black Lives Matter doesn't want to talk about because they're part of the alphabet agenda. They're not talking about heterosexual marriage between a black man and a black woman, because the reason why we have so many single mother households that raise these dysfunctional beta males and these dysfunctional females is because we did not promote the institution of marriage and family, and we did not promote the institution of marriage as something important to show the value of a black man's life in the relationship with a black woman. Because a black man, in relation to his wife, is a very important person, because this man is making a promise before God to care for a woman, and he is making a promise to care for his children, and he's going to work to build for his children. But all of that was scuttled by your white feminists and your leftists who wanted to go out here and promote single motherhood, something Black Lives Matter wants to support and promote in the black community, saying that black lives only matter, but black lives don't matter in single mother households, because single mother households show how little value a black life has for black men and black women. Thank you for the super chat, Mr. Glass. I really appreciate it. And thank you, The BS is Real, for the super chat as well. And if you want to pick up some of my positive black men's books or my fiction, which presents positive images of black men like John Haynes, you can pick up those books on Amazon.com. So I'm going to continue going on, because this is, again, these are things that show how much black life matters to people, because when a black man loves a woman, he's going to make her his wife. And we're not promoting marriage in the black community. Your Black Lives Matter, they want to talk about single mothers, but if you really want to show the value of a black woman's life to a black man, that's when that man makes the proposal to that woman to make her a wife. And that's what a man does. He makes the proposal to make a woman his wife. But the feminist movement, they want to sit there and say, oh, we don't see a value in a black man, because they come from the single mother perspective, which teaches them black men are bad, and that, again, the only good black man is a dead black man. But if we really value a black man's life, we want him to have an abundant life the way God wants us all, and Jesus wants us all to have an abundant life. And he wants us to have the very best life. But Black Lives Matter, again, they want everybody else to have a life while they build on the grave of a black man. But you can't build on the grave of a black man, because women are not natural builders, and everything that they want to get is from this state. And what you're going to get from the state, and I can tell you from personal experience, growing up on welfare and Section 8, are crumbs from the table. You're going to get this rundown Section 8 housing. You're going to get this welfare that practically you'll be cut off arbitrarily, and you will be put in a second-class underclass, and that's what you're going to get. And they're going to put you in these ghettos, and that's what black people will get if they follow Black Lives Matter, because When I take a critical examination of your Black Lives Matter, it is the blind leading the blind, and they are getting ready to try to drive the Black community back into the ditch it was from the 60s all the way up until I say about the mid 90s when we had welfare reform. These people want to take us back to that ghetto because that's what they grew up in those single mother households, and that's what they saw as their model. They grew up in a welfare state, and they grew up in a dysfunctional environment. And they grew up learning dysfunction as a way of life. So they want to take us back to that. And that's where Black men have to come out and start speaking for themselves, because their agenda is not our agenda. And their agenda is not the agenda we should want our children to go out here and learn. We should be out here standing up and speaking out like I'm doing right now in this live stream, letting everybody know that Black Lives Matter agenda is not a Black man agenda. What's going on, Yak Diesel? Glad to see you here. And again, they want to go out here and piggyback on the Black community the same way the feminists piggybacked on the civil rights movement, and the way many other groups like Hispanics and many others piggybacked on the Black civil rights movement. But we as Black men have to take the lead as related to this and start saying that you're not going to piggyback on us. If you want to go fight for your rights, you go fight for your rights. And you fight for your rights on your platform, but you're not going to use our platform to not only piggyback on us, but then jump over us and jump in front of us in line. Because Black men's issues are completely different than Black women's issues, white men's issues, non-Black men's issues like Hispanics, Asians, and Arabs, or even your alphabet issues. Black men, we are at the bottom in this society, and we are practically the ones who get put into a second-class position where people want to say that our lives are worthless, but they're the ones who primarily want to benefit from everything that Black men have built, like this country during slavery, and what Black men are still looking to go out here and build. They want to benefit from the Black man, but they don't want to go out here and say that the Black man's life matters. And again, Black Lives Matter, they want to sit there and talk about how much they value a Black man's life. But again, you don't have Black men leading the charge or Black men crafting the agenda. And when we don't lead the charge and we don't craft the agenda, we get this dysfunction we're seeing right now, where everybody is running out here and trying to pacify the Black woman. And they're making all of these empty symbolic gestures that have no value to Black men and Black women. I mean, what does removing Aunt Jemima off the box do for Black people? How much money does removing Aunt Jemima off a box of pancake mix put in a Black man or a Black woman's pocket? How does removing a Confederate statue enrich a Black man or a Black woman? These are the critical questions that your Black Lives Matter cannot answer, because they are so caught up in their emotions regarding all of these ridiculous actions that they're thinking they're accomplishing something, but they're accomplishing absolutely nothing. If these companies were really serious about helping Black people, you know what? They would be offering employment to all of these Black men out here who have been unemployed and are still unemployed, like myself, and offer them that opportunity that was denied our fathers and grandfathers with things like the 40 acres and a mule and the affirmative action that was out here and given to white women. Jay Stevens, if you want to go out here and support the SJS Direct imprint, you can head over to Amazon.com and pick up some of the books. Or if you want to help me pay for more covers, like the ones featured on the John Haynes series, like John Haynes, The Man with Nothing to Lose, John Haynes, Dark Succubus, and John Haynes, A Conversation with Death, and covers like I put on books like Isis, The Beauty Myth, you can donate to the Cash App to help me pay for more covers, or you can head over to Amazon and pick up some of the books, in paperback and Kindle format. So that's how you can help contribute to SJS Direct. I have a lot of great positive Black fiction out there. And again, that's another thing that Black Lives Matter isn't talking about, how Black business matters. And again, I've talked about Black-owned business and how important it is. And again, Black-owned businesses like my SJS Direct imprint, we go out here and we present positive images of Black women, like I do on the ISIS series covers and the John Haynes series and other books that I do. I'm getting ready. I already put a new cover on The Temptation of John Haynes, and I present positive images of Black men and Black women and show you different aspects of Black culture. I do it with my African American fantasy. I do it with my fiction, like the Spinsterella trilogy, where I show you something that other companies will never show you, an African American goth, like I do in my novel Spellbound. These are things that show how diverse Black women are. I go out of my way to present you with positive Black images and diverse images of Black people and Black culture. And that's what I try to do. Who are my favorite authors for books? I like Tony Brown with his Black Lies and White Lies. I like Ralph Ellison with Invisible Man. And I primarily read comic books, but I love the Milestone line. And there's a couple of other writers I like Chris Claremont and David Michelini from Marvel. But I grew up with a lot of positive Black images. I grew up with Benson, Cosby Show. I grew up in that golden age of positive Black images, and I wanted to continue that positive images out there because I knew we were going to be in an era like this. I started with when I saw the NWA, and I said, we really need to keep those positive images out there because what's going to happen is we're going to have this push to these images out here. And right now, when I look at it, it was the best decision I made at 17 to dedicate myself to that because we are in a place where young Black men and women are getting some really negative images about Black men and Black women, and we're not getting a rich, full picture of Black culture like I got growing up. I grew up in what I consider to be a golden age, and this age of Black Lives Matter, we're really not getting that because Black men are not taking control over their communities because in that era, we had men like Bill Cosby, Spike Lee, the Hudlin brothers, Robert Townsend. They were controlling the Black image, and they were presenting us a balanced picture of Black men, Black women, the Black family. They were giving us images like the Black girl next door. They were showing us healthy Black-on-Black relationships. And when I was a kid, I didn't really appreciate those images, but when I got into my 20s and 30s, I really started to see how important those images were and how important that media was because it had a major impact on me. Everything from the Cosby Show all the way up to those Milestone comics, all those things, shaped my growing up. And again, it taught me the value of both the Black man's life and the Black woman's life and why both of them are important. And again, if we're going to have Black Lives Matter, yeah, Tony Brown had the talk show on Channel 13 Far Side of the Fan called Tony Brown's Journal, and I would practically watch it every weekend around 11:30 and on Channel 13. And a lot of the stuff that you see Professor Black Truth talking about, he talked about it way back then. Sherazad Ali was out there with the Black Man's Guide to Understanding Black Women. All that stuff came about when I was growing up, and all of that stuff is really important to us because, again, these people understood the value of a Black man's life. They understood how important a Black man was. And again, a Black man, a heterosexual Black man, is important because he is the foundation of a black family, because a black man has the seed to create a black family with a black woman, and he is the builder of the black community. So a lot of people want to talk about Black Lives Matter again, but we don't see them talking about this black man, why this black man is important, why the black man is the one whose life matters, extremely important, and why we need to go out here and value the black man and what he contributes to society. Because your feminists, they are white supremacists, and your black feminists are white supremacists, like your Black Lives Matter. So they don't value a black man's life, and they believe in propaganda created by people like Oprah Winfrey, Alice Walker. These people, they hate black men, and they want to promote ideas and ideologies that promote hatred of black men. That's why they want to see a dead black man as having somebody they protest over, instead of working towards preserving the life of a black man, the way I do with these videos, with books like The Man Crisis, and books like the John Haynes series. I try to make efforts to show the value of a black man's life, and then teach the black man. That's why I do things like the unwritten social rules for these brothers out here, because I don't want to see brothers go out like George Floyd or Ahmaud Arbery or Bakari Henderson or many other black men out here. I don't want to see our brothers winding up dead at the hands of these race soldiers or these suburban terrorists. I don't want to see them die, and I want to teach them what they can do to survive out here. Well, for our side of the fan, they give the Four Bloods good reviews because they are starved for black male images, and they're not used to seeing representation of real black men. Black men like myself, they don't want to see. So they know that black people are so starved. They give it a good review because they are desperate, like a lot of black women are with Tyler Perry movies. So they're not used to seeing a balanced picture of black men. So they just go, oh, it's a good movie because black men are in it, but they don't look at it from a cinematic and story perspective the way I do. I want to make sure that black men and black women get good films and good stories out here, like The First House Party, which is a very great and balanced film. Malcolm X, Do the Right Thing. Those were truly great films, and The Four Bloods, people are only giving it good reviews because they're starved for an image of a black man and an image of a heterosexual black man. But when I look at Dolomite Is My Name, which Netflix made, that was a very solid film, very well crafted, very well put together, and that one was a rock solid film. So I look at that. I looked at Dolomite Is My Name, and I compare it to The Four Bloods. It just wasn't as good as a movie as Dolomite Is My Name, because that one gave us a human picture of Rudy Ray Moore, and it gave us a picture of all the struggles he had to deal with. So I look at that film, and again, completely different thing, completely different image. But that's another thing black people have to understand is when you understand your value, you start having standards. And that's what a black man who values his life has. He has standards, and he says, look, I'm not going to accept substandard. And that's why a lot of racists don't like heterosexual black men, because heterosexual black men, when they are in charge of the community, they are going to set standards. They are going to set a order in their community. And they're going to, as they set their standards, they're going to say what they're going to accept and not what they're going to accept. They're going to demand the very best. And when I look at movies again, like Spike Lee or Tyler Perry, I want better, and I'm going to demand better. Thank you, Yak Diesel, for the super chat. I really appreciate it. He says, a black male-led political action community is needed in order to articulate our demands and put dollars behind them. No more voting along party lines. I definitely agree with that. We just can't go along voting along party lines or going along with other people's agendas, because when you put other people's agendas first, you're putting yourself second. And that's what black people have done for 40 years with the left. They have aligned themselves with them just because the candidates say that they like black people, but you liking black people is just not enough. And that's what the Black Lives Matter people want us to do, is just go along with this agenda, but that agenda does not have our issues up front. It does not focus on our needs, and it doesn't focus on what's important to us. And that's something black people really need to think about, because when you love yourself and you see value in your life, you are going to, again, set some platform for yourself, set your own agenda, and you're going to establish your own standards and your own agenda and set goals for meeting those, and delegate tasks towards meeting those goals. So black men, when you are in charge, you get a completely different set of plans as related to the black community. And that's different from what we're seeing with Black Lives Matter, which is all about these emotional symbolism. They just react to the symbolism, whereas black men go out here and say, I'm looking for more. I'm looking for, what are you going to do for the black man? How are you going to show how you value the black man's life? How are you going to help deal with these economic disparities created by discrimination? How are you going to work towards building a better black community and helping towards building a better black man, and building things like promoting the value of black fathers, black husbands, and black men in the community? I mean, for over 50 years, we've had this devaluation of black men as related to the feminist movement, mainstream media. They continue to promote thugs, bad boys, gangbangers. Where is the promotion of black fathers like Cliff Huxtable on The Cosby Show? Where is the promotion of working men like Carl Winslow on Family Matters, or guys like Uncle Phil from The Fresh Prince? Why are we not? Why is the mainstream media not promoting those types of black men as an ideal? Why do they always want to promote thugs and gangsters? Again, if you want to show the value of a black man's life, then let's show the value of the best black men in our community and why they are valuable in our community. Why don't you show me these brothers out here who are good husbands? Why don't you show me these black men who are good fathers? Why don't you show me these brothers out here like myself, working and building a black-owned business, presenting positive images of black men, trying to get people inspired to be their very best, do their very best, and work towards accomplishing something in life? Why don't you show me those black men, and why don't you show me the work of those black men? That's going to show me how much you value the black man's life, not what I'm seeing right now, where you have people marching and protesting, talking about Black Lives Matter, but they're not really, they're pushing a completely an agenda that's diametrically opposed to that. Because again, single mothers don't show us that Black Lives Matter. What shows us value is us valuing the black men in our community, and us working towards teaching those black men to go out here and be the leaders, the heads of household. But Black Lives Matter doesn't want to do that, because Black Lives Matter is scared of the black man. Just like your white supremacist is scared of the black man, that the women who lead Black Lives Matter are scared of the black man. And the reason why they are scared of the black man is they're scared that if this black man takes power over his community, that black man is going to use that power to take your Black Lives Matter out of the black community. And they're going to go out here and establish their own standards. They're going to go out here and establish their own order. And they're going to go out here and establish their own agenda. And that agenda is going to ensure that a black man's life has high value. And that agenda is also going to show that black people are going to follow the black man's agenda and be led by the black man. That with the Black Lives Matter, they can go out here and use the black man as a pawn. to promote their victim agenda, because passively they want to talk about marching and protesting for these dead black men, but aggressively they want to push anti-black man agendas and anti-black family agendas. And that's why your black woman really needs to start taking that critical examination of your Black Lives Matter, because after they get rid of the black man, these same people want to get rid of the black woman. So they don't really want a black family agenda. They want a welfare state that gives them a way to push their alphabet agenda and their single mother agenda. And again, that agenda only leads to the breeding of a prison pipeline and a pipeline to single mothers. That's why we need a real black agenda. Thank you, Alberto's old 71. We really need a real black agenda created by black men, because again, when heterosexual black men were in charge of the black man's image, I remember in the 80s when guys like John H. Johnson, Bill Cosby, Robert Townsend, Hudlin Brothers, and all these other black men were in charge of the black man's image, we got balanced pictures. But when Oprah got in charge and started doing her Oprah Winfrey Presents, all we got were all of these images of black women as victims and them looking for a great white savior. Because that's another thing Black Lives Matter won't tell you about, how they also deify and worship this white man, and how they're looking for this white man to be a savior and create all of these so-called villages. They want them built by their white man, not built by that black man. They want them built by that white man, not by a black man. Because if it was built by a black man, it means she has to submit to that black man. She has to submit to black male authority, because in order to get provided with resources and protection, she has to follow the lead of that black man. And that's something they don't want to do. And that's what Black Lives Matter is all about, making sure that they can go out here and get crumbs from the master's table at the expense of the death of black men. And that's why this movement is not about black men, because if this movement was about black men, it would be about showing how valuable a black man's life is to everyone, the way I have presented to you the numerous ways a black man's life is to everyone. And because I have experienced life with black men, but when you don't experience life with black men and you grow up in dysfunctional environments like single mother households, you don't understand the value of a black man in your life. Now, these women, they primarily grew up with males, and these dysfunctional males, again, males out here from these single mother households, they have never really lived in an environment with real black men who have gone out here and care for their families and want to build. What's going on, T-Mac? What I'm talking about is how Black Lives Matter, really, their agenda is not about black men. And I'm talking about how Black Lives Matter uses black men as a springboard in order to push their alphabet and single mother agenda, not to mention their communist agenda, which is to create a welfare state. They're not about building a true black community run by black men. They're not about creating anything as related to black fathers. They're not about anything about teaching black men to value their own lives. What they want to do is, they've got the trolls coming in, and I've got to deal with these trolls who are talking this silly stuff. And again, they really don't want anything as related to building anything constructive. What they want to do is take us back to the status quo of the 70s to the 90s, the welfare state. And black men, we have to push back against that. We have to push it back against your Black Lives Matter, because they don't value the life of black men. And we as a collective of black men have to start coming out here to stand up for our lives, because the only person who can show how much a black man's life matters is if the black man comes out here and stands up for himself. And as a black man, I'm coming out and standing up for my life, because my life matters to me. The lives of other black men matter to me. And as I see it, I don't see my agenda being represented by your Black Lives Matter, and I don't see them protesting for me or protesting for improving the quality of life in my community. I don't see them going out here to fight for a stronger black community. And the only way you're going to get a stronger black community is with investment in this black man. And nobody wants to invest in this black man because they know that if the black man gets the economic resources, he will start building his own community and building something for their own standards. Glad you could be here, Glom David. The stream, I had to do this one because I want more black men to understand that Black Lives Matter is not for us. And all you have to do is read the mission statement on their website to see how they want to exploit the black community. They are not out here looking to talk. They're not looking to talk on our issues. They're not presenting our issues as black men to the world. They're not talking about things that we have had to deal with, again, like racial profiling, like police brutality, and discrimination in the job market, where a lot of us black men, we are denied employment, and how these companies use and manipulate things like that whole word diversity and person of color. What they do is use that as a smokescreen to talk about how they want to hire these Hispanics, these Asians, these Arabs, and they want to hire these white women and black women, but they don't want to hire black men. They will go out of their way to deny employment to a heterosexual black man because they can check off all the diversity boxes, but then not employ a black man on the job. And they do this, again, deliberately to emasculate the black man and deny him an ability to be that in his God-given role as provider for his family, and to prevent him from getting an ability to go out here and build, because when a man doesn't have a job, he can't go out here and build. So what they want to do is prevent that black man from having employment so he can go out here and build. And they want to emasculate the black man by hiring the black woman and saying she has to provide for the community because the black man isn't capable of it, but he is capable. They just won't allow him to go out here and do what he needs to do because they don't want to compete with the black man, and they don't want the black man building and creating his own economy. So they will sit there, and again, they don't have a problem with black men dying, but they don't want black men living, and they don't want black men living an abundant life, going out here building a quality community for himself or quality community for his family, because that goes against white supremacy's narrative, and it also actually goes against everything that they want to do, because they need the black man at the bottom in order to have their smooth world. So they have no problems out here. Far side of the fam, nobody is on the black man's side. We are on our own, and that's why we have to come out and speak for ourselves, because these groups, they are not created by us. They are not created for us. They do not support us. And we have to understand, as black men, we are on our own. And we have to create our own agenda for ourselves. Patrick Smith makes a good point. Yeah, it's a repackaging of the 60s and the 70s. And sadly, many people cannot see the vicious cycle, especially Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter, they want to just go back to what they knew in the past. But we as black men, we see what's going on. And again, as a guy who grew up in that welfare state, I'm telling you, what Black Lives Matter wants to take black people back to is not good for black people. It's just going to have us back at the bottom and have us going nowhere, And we have to say, look, I'm not accepting this. They're not for us. They're not about black men. What they want to do, again, is use the graves of black men in order to build their welfare state, because now that people know that the welfare state of the 60s and the 70s was built on demonizing the black man, removing the black father, now they want to go out here and eliminate the black man, and then continue to build their welfare state with a prison pipeline for black boys and a single mother pipeline for black girls. And the only person who can cut that out is black men by standing up, because the black man is the foundation of any community. If we are on our own, you build on your own on the far side of the fam. You just have to, it's going to be hard, but you have to understand that you are on your own. That's why you have to lean on other working brothers out here, because we're the only ones who have each other. So you have to understand that just because you're on your own doesn't mean that everything is bad. It means you understand where you stand. And when you know where you stand, then you can set a course for yourself. So you can go out here and set a course for yourself, and you can go out here and set a course for where you want to go overall. And this is something black men have to understand, is if with you on your own, you can then start setting goals for yourself, starting an agenda for yourself, and you won't fall for the rhetoric of people like your Black Lives Matter, because groups like Black Lives Matter, they want to get rich at your expense. And as somebody who has worked in nonprofit, I'm telling you that you have to follow the money. And when you follow the money, it's not going into the black community. It's not going into black-owned businesses like mine, and it's not helping to employ black people. A handful of people at the top get the money, and then they use a handful of these black women and stuff to do their dirty work, and it means that it just keeps black communities poor. All you get at the end of the day are sore throats and tired feet, and you get nothing in return for all of your marching and protesting but the status quo system that gives you the same oppression. Yes, they may take a statue down, they may repackage a box, but you're still buying the same box of pancake mix at the end of the day, not putting money in the same corporations that won't even think about giving you a job that will allow you to go out here and buy a home or go out here and build your own business. These companies, they make these symbolic gestures, and these symbolic gestures give you nothing in return that help you grow as a black man or a black woman. So you get nothing for all of your marching and protesting, and that's the most troubling thing about the Black Lives Matter, is that they got in front of a black man's issue, and sadly, we don't have enough black men like myself to come out and speak out on how they are bamboozling the black community and how they're bamboozling black people, because they're sitting there talking about Black Lives Matter, but again, where is the platform to talk about how valuable black men's lives are? You're talking about everybody else, but you're not talking about black men, because again, black men are the ones who are primarily targeted for this violence. Black men are the ones losing their lives, but black men are not the ones at the forefront leading the charge to get change. Because if black men led the charge to get change, I guarantee you the response from many out here, like these corporations, would not be donations to talk about people of color and diversity. What would happen is the black man would be seen as an enemy of the state. He would be seen as a threat to all, and he would be seen as a danger to just about everyone. Your black man would not be seen as somebody who goes out here and is important. He would be seen as a threat to all, that everybody wanted to get rid of, just like they wanted to get rid of Brother Malcolm and Dr. King. There wouldn't be any talk about police reform. There would be talk of, we need to get these N-words and we need to let them know what their place was. Yeah, that's right, Rocket Man, Rocket Matrix. LBJ was the one who started the welfare state and the war on poverty that has led to black people remaining in poverty And your Black Lives Matter wants to reestablish that welfare state. And most black people, they're not looking at the big picture. Well, again, they're getting caught up in the trinkets that these Black Lives Matter and these companies are giving them, where they make these donations and they take down these statues, symbolic gestures, and these symbolic gestures, they just are meant to make you feel good, but not give you anything of substance. They don't want to give you things that will help improve the quality of your life, like an equal opportunity at employment, job security that will allow you to stay in a job for a good 15, 20 years, job security that will allow you to build. They don't want to give you things like that, nor do they want to provide you with media that presents positive images to show a value of a black man in a community. Like Hollywood does not want to give us images of black men as leaders in the community. They don't want to show us black fathers. They don't want to show us responsible black men taking care of their community. They don't want to show us those type of images. And they want to sit there and talk about, oh, we took down Gone with the Wind, but hey, you took down Gone with the Wind, a 80, 90-year-old movie that featured the first black Oscar winner for a Mammy, but you won't greenlight a show like All About Nikki, which presents you a positive image of a black teenager, a black teenage daughter being raised by a black father. Again, they won't make this show, which presents a positive image of a black father, and greenlight this, but they'll take down a old movie that they've practically made all their money on, plus some, and then tell you we've accomplished something when you've accomplished absolutely nothing. And this was a TV show I wrote 13 episodes of, featuring a black father. They won't make this show, but they'll sit there and talk about, like, Netflix is donating $120 million, and they're talking about, oh, we're donating $120 million to teach about racism. You want to teach about racism, show that, greenlight this show, which features a black father in the home and shows us a black girl in Beverly Hills. Make this show, Netflix. I mean, these companies, they sit there and they talk a good game, but their actions show how disingenuous they are regarding their words. I mean, they'll sit there and talk that game. I left a link to All About Nikki so you can see what I'm talking about this show I wrote back in 2011. They don't want to make those shows. They want to sit there and talk about, oh, we're for diversity and inclusion, but you don't. But when you have shows like Luke Cage, you try to get them off the air, which feature, again, another series that featured a positive image of a black man leading in his community, taking care of his community, and that show was canceled by Netflix. And again, that was done, as I see it, deliberately, because people saw that black man leading in his community. They didn't want it. So they come out here with these symbolic gestures, but they don't give you anything of real value or real substance that will really show you change. I mean, really showing people change, again, is these companies going out here and putting qualified black men and women on the job and letting them finally get that opportunity to show what they can do on the job, show what they can contribute to a community. Show me what you're going to really do. Go out here, and and that showed me that you're genuine, because you're not genuine when you go out here and you show me, oh, you've donated some money, but you could have gone out here again and greenlit an All About Nikki, a show that features a positive black image of a daughter and a black father, and you could have gone out here and employed a bunch of black people, because if I was the executive producer of this show, I'm going to hire a whole bunch of black folks to work on this show, put some money in their pockets, because, again, all these people, they want symbolic gestures, but they're not focusing on economic empowerment, the thing that will allow black people to go out here and really move their lives forward. Because they want to, again, they go to people like Black Lives Matter who will have their agenda, but their agenda is not about empowering black people or helping black people build anything constructive. All they want to do is talk about how they can march and protest, but you don't want to talk about things like supporting black-owned businesses, helping out to show the value of those black fathers and show us, again, the power of the black dollar. Because I really do believe we really need a focus on showing how important black-owned businesses are. Because, again, you're not going to get a book like All About Nikki from mainstream publishers. You're only going to get it from guys like me, like SJS Direct, to show you, again, a black daughter in a relationship with her father. And I'm the guy who makes the Disney princess story that Disney won't make with East-Team and Sands of Time. With Sands of Time, I make the Disney princess story they won't make. They say that they can't make because with Princess and the Frog, they want to give you the non-black woman, non-black man with the black woman, but I give you the black man and the black woman. And thank you for the super chat, Albuterol71. I really appreciate it. And again, this is, they don't make stuff like this. And again, I show how much a black person's life matters. Again, with books like the ISIS series, again, showing you the value of black people. Again, positive images of black people. They don't want to talk about those. They don't want to talk about how Black Lives, because I show how much Black Lives matters to me, but Black Lives Matter, they only want to show Black life mattering with the death of a black man, when we need to show how valuable a black man's life is by going out here and teaching young black boys how important their role is to society and how their role is important as related to being a responsible man, a responsible husband, and a responsible father, and a brother who goes out here and helps to build a better black community. These are things that Black Lives Matter doesn't talk about on the regular, because Black Lives Matter, they only want to use the victim position in order to milk it for gain at a dead black man's expense. Again, that's why I call them vultures, because all they do is wait for a carcass to drop and then use that carcass as a way to picket for their agenda. And again, they don't want to talk about the black man. And then we, as black men, we have to stop being so scared to talk, because we're the only ones who can speak for ourselves. And we have to care enough about our community that we start speaking out for it, because these people are out here looking to exploit us, and they're also looking to exploit our sisters, because they don't know they're being exploited by these people. They don't know they're being manipulated by these people. They have, like the black pastor who manipulates gullible black women, they lead them down the road like a Pied Piper, and they have them sent down this road that is going to, again, be the blind leading the blind, and them all falling into a ditch. And that ditch will keep the black community stranded in poverty for another 50 years. That's what female leadership is going to take with this Black Lives Matter, because these females, they are caught up in their emotions about their hatred of black men, and they want to go out here and call themselves building a community without the black man in order to spite the black man. But what they don't understand is they're going to set the black community back a few generations with their actions. That's what Black Lives Matter is going to do to the black community. They're going to set the black community back a few generations, because they aren't showing, again, the most important person as related to showing Black life mattering. Because if we don't value the black man, we're not going to have a black community for future generations. And that's why the black man has to get active about fighting for his community, because if there's no black man to lead the black community, the black woman will lead the black community in a ditch, because she will be misled by people like these leftists, these feminists, and these people like the black pastor, who do not have the black community's best interest at heart. So that's why black men have to come out here and start speaking on our issues, because these protests, all it is making a lot of noise, and making a lot of noise may get you a lot of attention. But if you don't have anything to say to present to people in the form of agenda, they start taking their own ideas and projecting their own ideas out here. And when they present their own ideas out here, what happens is you get what's given to you instead of what you demanded. And that's why black men have to go out here and start taking charge of this move, of these protests, and start taking charge to start presenting their agenda, because we're not being heard. Nobody's hearing what we're saying. And the whole thing is, we're the ones who are primarily targeted by this violence, and we're the ones who are primarily the victims of this violence and lose our lives. But we need to show how much our lives matter by coming out here and showing how valuable a black man is to the community. Burgess Meredith asks, why do they hate us so much if historically they are the major reason of dysfunctional black men? Well, they hate many of these black women have been miseducated by these feminists to think that the black man is the enemy, and they don't understand that they have bought in. The thing is that they want to be white women so bad, they don't understand that those white women were racist and white supremacists, and that feminist ideology is one that is rooted in homosexuality. They don't understand those are the foundations of it, and they bought into it because they wanted to be accepted as white women, not understanding what they bought into was a dysfunctional whole paradigm. Now, I went in depth on that in my book, Why 70% of Black Women Are Single. I went in depth on how the feminist movement misled the black woman. That's a best-selling ebook. I went in depth on it and talked about how a lot of these black women were taught to hate the black man. And again, they wanted to be white women, not understanding what the white woman was not something. The book's name is Why 70% of Black Women Are Single. I left the title, the name of it in the chat. I'll leave a link to it in the chat again. And it's a book that will really open up your mind to really understand why a lot of women in Black Lives Matter think the way they do, because they are buying into false concepts that were taught by feminism, false ideologies taught by feminism. And feminism is a subsidiary, it's a part of white supremacy, and it's a part of white supremacy that teaches hatred of black men. And again, Black Lives Matter, they are primarily on a feminist and alphabet tip. And again, those communities, they don't really have the black man's life and interest at heart. They talk about, again, Black Lives Mattering, but the black man's life has no value to either of those groups. When they look at a black man's life, they don't see value in it. Thank you, DJB Side 1965. Really appreciate the super chat. Really appreciate it. If you guys want to donate to the super chat, you can donate to the super chat. And if you want to donate to the Cash App, you can donate to the Cash App as well. And that's something you can do. You can donate to the Cash App as well. But they don't really see, again, value in black men. They have a deep hatred for black men, and they have a deep hatred for black men because black men are the ideal for manhood for many people, for the world, and they don't like the idea of black men because they have power that they don't have. Now, the main reason why feminists are mad is because black men, some of them are mad because black men got the right to vote before they did, and the white woman wants that power, and she doesn't want the black. She's mad because the black man has power that she doesn't have. Thank you, Mr. Dees, for the Cash App. I really appreciate it, and really appreciate you guys donating again. And I also would like you guys to, help out a friend of mine, Chris Brown. He is the creator of Omega Black Manga. This is Positive Black Manga. He's getting ready to launch an Indiegogo, and he needs 300 emails. So if you could, head over to Indiegogo and sign up, I would really appreciate that, because he needs 300 emails. And all the people on the list, if you pledge to the Indiegogo, you're going to get free shipping. So you really want to support this manga. It presents a positive image of black men, black manhood, black masculinity. And I really want to see, Chris get his project funded. So you guys should head over there. I'll leave another link to it in the chat. Really would appreciate it. But I look at this again, and black people, we really have to understand, again, Black Lives Matter, when you look at their talking points, when you look at their issues, they're not our issues. And again, only we can speak on our issues. Far side of the fam asks, but what about all the women of Black Lives Matter protests? If black women hate us, how come they're coming out in numbers, not for us, they're coming out because this is the thing to do. I mean, they don't really even understand what they're marching for. They're saying they were marching for justice for George Floyd. They're being manipulated by Black Lives Matter. Again, if black men were leading the charge, we would have a focus on goals, not just general statements. And that's what Black Lives Matter does. They use general statements like justice for George Floyd, and they use that as a way to segue people into their feminist agenda and their leftist agenda. They're not really marching for our issues. When you have a black man who is murdered, what people do is they get emotional and they want to march and protest, and then groups like Black Lives Matter run up in front of those people, and they tell them that they're going to help them get justice, but they're just not for us. And this is something people don't understand, is that in order for us to get justice, you need to see the black man leading the charge. It can't be like that cover of that Rolling Stone magazine cover where we see the woman leading and the bold black man in a submissive role. We need the black man fighting and speaking for his own cause, because if a black man's life does not matter to black men, then why is anyone out there in the first place? That's a critical question people need to start asking themselves, because we need to see that black man coming out here and speaking for himself, standing up for himself, fighting for himself, and go out here and stand up for his issues. Burgess Meredith makes another good point. That's right, they cry for us, and then the same sisters jail us for their baby's father and not pay. That's another thing that people don't want to talk about. Is another thing that I see as part of a black male agenda is reforming these child support courts that have punished black men for years. I mean, these child support courts, they're actually an extension of white supremacy, and they prevent black men from being able to go out here and be seen as loving fathers, nurturing fathers. They have literally oppressed the black man and demonized him, and these courts need to be reformed. And we talk about police reform. Well, we need child support reform so that these black men can go out here and be the fathers to their children, and these women can understand that they have to start making better choices as related to their bodies and the men they get involved with. And that's something we need to see as well. So again, a black male agenda is a completely different agenda. They're not going to talk about, again, fathers, child support court. They're not going to talk about employment. They're not going to talk about our issues. No, they're going to take these crumbs. They're not going to talk about our school system and black teachers. They're not going to talk about, teaching boys black male life skills and black male survival skills. They're not going to talk about and prevent and ways to try to deal with racial profiling in situations like racial profiling. They don't want to talk about those things because they don't see a value in a black man's life. They only see a value in a black man's death, because that's how they have a victim to present to the world. And when they have that victim to present to a world, they can go out here and make money at his expense. Burgess Meredith asks, how can we make a difference and wake up our brothers if we don't have that huge platform that they have? Well, this is why I'm out here making videos, because each of us who go out here and we listen to each other, we can go out here and spread the message. Because in order to get, Black Lives Matter started out as a small platform. And many of us brothers on YouTube, we start out as small platforms. But each of us that speaks out and builds that word of mouth, what we do is we further spread that word out to other people, and that will allow it to build momentum. We can't think about the mainstream media. We have to think about grassroots. And again, that grassroots is the thing that's going to go out here and allow us to build that momentum. We can't think about them because they're always going to get mainstream media support. We have to think about ourselves and getting that message out there, because I'm out here, I've been out here for what, about 10 years talking about black men's issues. I've been writing books like The Man Crisis, Stop Simping, and books like Why 70% of Black Women Are Single. I mean, I've been getting the books out there to get black men out there. I've been making the videos to get the messages to black men. And again, each book I would write helps the black man change and transform his life. And the only way we're going to do that is if we create our own media platforms, because that's what new black media makes it so important. Because when we go out here and make our own media, we create a narrative about ourselves, for ourselves. We create images that show us as we see ourselves. And we go out here and we push back against these false narratives like groups like Black Lives Matter want to push, where they say, oh, Black Lives Matter, but then you look at their actions and they show how little they value a black man's life, because when they go out, the only time they come out is for a dead black man. They don't come out here to educate the living young black brothers. They don't go out here to teach the living young black brothers. And they can't really teach because they don't know what a black man goes through. They don't know about things like the unwritten social rules for black men. They don't know what it means to be a black man, because they have lived their organizations created by women, and those women don't understand the plight of a black man, the racism we experience and how it is different. They don't understand how hostile the society is and how they see us as black brutes and see us as black monsters. They don't see us out here, and they don't understand our issues. And again, we have to go out here and talk about our issues, and we have to present our issues, and we have to go out here and speak on our issues, and we have to go out here and let people know how much a black man's life matters by going out here and speaking as black men. Because a woman cannot fight a black man's struggle, and when a woman is fighting a black man's struggle, it just shows how weak that black man is. And when a black man is coming from a position of weakness, he is not going to get respect in a society. He's not going to get respect from people. No, the only way he gets respect is if he goes out here and takes it. And the way a black man takes respect is by going out and saying, Black Lives Matter does not speak for me. I speak for myself, and I speak on my issues. And Black Lives Matter is not speaking on my issues. And since they are not speaking on my issues, let me tell you what my issues are. And that's what I've done in several videos and live streams, talking about a black man's issues as I see them. I see a black man's life mattering because I want to show the role of a black man to a black community as someone who, again, is that leader, who is that protector, who is that provider, someone who's important because he is a father, he is a brother, he is a business owner, and he contributes to that community by offering his support, his guidance, and leadership. And most importantly, his leadership, because he sets the tone, he sets the direction, he establishes the standards. And this is something many of these women from single mother households don't understand, because they've never experienced a relationship with a man. They've never experienced a relationship with a father. They've never experienced a home with a male in charge. And they've never lived in a community where men ran the community and men ran the businesses and provided economic opportunities for the young brothers and sisters out there. They lived in a welfare state, and they want to go back to a welfare state. But black men, we know that a welfare state does not benefit our sisters, and that's why we have to come out here and start standing up and showing this black woman and the world the value of a black man and why a black man's life matters. I'm going to wrap up tonight's stream, and I would really appreciate it if you guys would head over to Amazon.com to pick up some of my positive black fiction. I have lots of books that will teach your kids positive image stories about black women, like Isis the Beauty Myth from the Isis series, Easting the Sands of Time, which features a positive image of a black princess. books like the John Haynes series, John Haynes, The Man with Nothing to Lose, which presents a positive image of Black manhood and Black masculinity, and shows a Black man leading because he's a CEO and he also protects people in the Black community and helps invest in the Black community. John Haynes, Dark Succubus, which is part of the John Haynes series, and John Haynes, A Conversation with Death, and other books in the ISIS series like ISIS, The Main Event, which the Goddess Next Door goes into the world of wrestling, and books like ISIS, All That Glitters, Esteem, Goddess of, and ISIS, My Sister, My Frenemy, and All About Nikki that I talked about earlier. I have a lot of great positive African-American fiction and nonfiction on my Amazon page, and I want to share that literature with everyone. So I really want everybody to go pick up some of that literature. It's in paperback and Kindle format. So I really would appreciate it if you guys go out here and pick up those books. Also would appreciate it if you would help out Chris L. Brown and his Omega Black manga by signing up for the email list. He has great positive Black manga. And if you want to donate to the Cash App, you can donate to the Cash App and help me be able to pay for the internet to do more live streams. Thank you, Patrick Smith. I wanted everybody to be educated by this live stream. And I also would appreciate it if you could head over to the Patreon, because that helps me be able to do more videos and more live streams. So I really want to thank everybody for coming out to today's live stream, and I hope you'll be there for next week's stream.